Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. 16-year-old boy believed to have fatally shot self with cop's brother's gun. The Maypen police are investigating the circumstances behind the death of a 16-year-old student of Top Hayes, Clarendon on Saturday, February 12, 2022. The incident reportedly occurred about 9 p.m. The available information indicates that a 28-year-old police constable who is assigned to the Spanish Town Police Station in St. Catherine was at a premises believed to be his home in the above-mentioned community when he went to take a shower along with his girlfriend, during which he took his firearm into the bathroom but left it outside the shower enclosure. While in the shower, he reportedly heard a loud explosion, and upon investigating, he first saw a brother of his who suffers from Down syndrome holding his head at the bathroom door, seemingly in shock. The lawman then discovered his now deceased brother on the floor of a bedroom in a pool of blood with the cop's firearm close to himself. The injured team was rushed to hospital where he was pronounced dead. The matter is now being investigated by the Independent Commission of Investigation. Popular Western Jamaican attorney Maureen Beckford dies suddenly. One of Western Jamaica's most senior criminal defense attorneys, Maureen Beckford, has died. Beckford reportedly became ill during one of his regular morning runs. He was taken to the Savanella Mar Hospital where he was pronounced dead. Beckford was a regular 10-kilometer marathon runner who won his age group during popular runs such as the Mobile City Run. According to friends close to the 50-year-old's partner at the law firm Beckford, Simit and Wade, the attorney went running Saturday and complained of not feeling well. However, yesterday morning he woke up feeling better and went running again. 10 minutes into the run, he complained of nausea, started vomiting, and then fainted. He was rushed to the Savanella Mar Hospital where he was pronounced dead. His death has left a gloom over the legal fraternity, with immediate past president of the Cornwall Bar Association, Lambert Johnson, grappling with a tone of sadness. This was the most unexpected news, and it has left us mourning in shock, Johnson reported. Beckford was reportedly training for a marathon in Peru in South America later this year. Current president of the Cornwall Bar, Michael Hemmings, was too hurt to speak of Beckford's untimely passing. Cop shot by colleague in repelling man said to be of unsound mind. A police constable was shot and injured by his colleague as they tried to fend off a man said to be of unsound mind in Augustown, St. Andrew. It was reported that about 5:30 a.m. yesterday, cops from the Specialized Operation Unit of the Jamaica Constabulary Force were in a section of the community called Bottom Area when a man attacked a member of the team with a knife. The police reportedly opened fire on the attacker. The man was shot in the abdomen. Shortly after, it was discovered that the constable had also been shot in the abdomen. The men were transported to hospital. Former charged with larceny of one male in St. Anne. One of two men who posed as good Samaritans and offered to assist a man to change his tire in Ochoa, St. Anne on Friday, December 10, 2021, has been fingered in the theft of $1 million. Charged is 41-year-old Delore Laird, otherwise called Steely, a farmer of Glassby Street, Greenville, Mandeville in Manchester. He has been slapped with a charge of simple larceny. Reports from the St. Anne's Bay Police are that about 2:30 p.m., a man went to a bank in Ochoa and withdrew $1 million. He was changing a flat tire along Evelyn Street when Laird and another man reportedly offered assistance. However, when the two men left, the man noticed that his bag that contained the cash has been stolen from his car. Laird was arrested and subsequently charged after he was pointed out during an identification parade on Friday, February 11. 50-year-old man charged with wounding with intent. 50-year-old Gary Buchanan, a potter of Henley Road, Kingston 11, has been arrested and charged with wounding with intent following an incident on West Bay Farm Road, Kingston 11 on Saturday, January 8. Reports from the Hunts Bay Police are that about 8:45 p.m., a man was standing on the roadway talking with a friend when he was allegedly attacked and stabbed by Buchanan. Residents assisted the injured man to the hospital where he was admitted. Buchanan was subsequently arrested and charged for the offense. Medical doctor says Government's vaccine-only event, or only for show, calls instead for a mandate to fix health facilities. Medical Dr. Jermaine Spencer believes the government's push towards vaccinated-only events is only for a show and makes no sense given the reality of breakout cases among fully inoculated persons. Rather, Spencer, who says he is not an anti-vaxxer and administrator non-COVID-19 vaccines daily at his clinic in Western Jamaica, is calling on the Andrew Holness-led administration to focus its resources on fixing Jamaica's health system, which he says is in urgent need of attention. I am totally against mandatory COVID-19 vaccines, the reason being that there is no science to justify it. There is no medical science to justify mandating a vaccine that does not work forever. It has no long-lasting immunity. It only buffers for a few weeks and, in some, none, until natural immunity sets in, Spencer reported. What we as citizens should be mandating is that the government optimize and improve all health infrastructure in Jamaica, not only Type A, Type B, or Type C hospitals, but also the local health clinic network throughout the island, he contends. The medical practitioner was speaking against the background of recent remarks by Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton when he revealed the government's plan to favor those citizens who opted to get inoculated against COVID-19. Tufton was blasted by several Jamaicans over the plan to discriminate against unvaccinated Jamaicans. In clarifying that, he said not against COVID-19 vaccine, but rather universal inoculation of the population. Spencer reiterated that vaccine-only events are not realistic based on the present science that suggests that vaccinated persons can still contract and also spread the coronavirus. The vaccine-only events are just a show because the vax can still get sick. The vax can still pressure the health system. Once they are vulnerable, vax or unvax, they will still be vulnerable, Spencer said, who is also a businessman. An alternative to vaccine-only events, Spencer suggested, is to stratify events based on risk. These events, you stratify them, you say, all right, those who are high risk, those who are over a certain age, you are not allowed to go in public gathering if you have not gotten the vaccine in a certain time frame or natural immunity. If you want to go further and say, if you are vax or unvax, can you provide us with a negative COVID test? If you want to push it further, which I am not 100% sure that is the way either to go, you can then stratify it based on symptoms, because even the tests have certain levels of sensitivity and specificity, and you're gonna miss positive people, he proposed. Stratify events based on risk. You can say to certain subsets of the population, we're not allowing you to come to events because if you get sick, quite likely, based on statistics available to us, you may end up in our health service. That I can understand, he added. The doctor underscored that the government has done enough regarding the vaccine. They have made it available to the population. What next are you going to do? Why are you continuing pressuring for these events, especially when there is a lot of failures of the vaccines, or what they call breakthrough cases? That's the reality, because we know, and it's very obvious, he argued. Look at the situation in certain populations across the world, in Israel, in Canada. With a high vaccinated population, you're going to have the vax going into the health services, he stated. Another reason for Spencer's opposition to vaccinated-only events and mandatory vaccine is natural immunity, which he said was brought on by the highly contagious Omicron variant. He refers to the variant as God's vaccine. Based on this, he again bat for a restratification of society based on the natural immunity element, arguing that such restratification of every individual is the basis of every teaching in medical school. He elaborated, every patient is different. Every patient before us, we must take a proper history, we must examine the patient, and we must come up with an assessment. Within that assessment, it is a restratification system which determines whether a patient is at risk for a particular disease or not. You have the data. Coronavirus is not novel anymore. We have enough data to stratify people based on risk factors, and in reality, people who are stratified based on risk, only a small percentage of that will be at risk. Why? Because in reality, I can tell you, up to 90% of Jamaicans have been inoculated by God's vaccine which is Omicron, or the other variants. And in reality, majority of patients already have natural immunity, which all governments of the world, including Jamaica, have failed to acknowledge, despite all scientific evidence suggesting that it is far superior to those 2 doses of vaccine Spencer outlined. Spencer's assertion is supported by a study released by the Centers of Disease Control (CDC), showing that unvaccinated people with past COVID-19 infection were better protected against the Delta variant than people who were only fully vaccinated. Another local doctor, Dr. Michael Abrams, have voiced similar sentiments about natural immunity to Spencer's, while citing the CDC study as part of his own argument against the vaccine mandate in an interview last week. Noting that the majority of people infected during the Omicron surge were unvaccinated, Abrams said it makes no sense to cast a broad net and say that you are not going to discriminate against the unvaccinated because they are not a homogeneous group. There are many unvaccinated people right now who are better immune protected than many vaccinated people. In the meantime, Spencer is also against mandatory mask wearing based on a study from Bangladesh. The reality is, cloth masks don't work, surgical masks don't work. What works is properly fitted N95 mask. And even with that, you're going to have breakthrough infections, he revealed. Spencer, meanwhile, stressed that the government must focus its attention on fixing the island's health service and health network, whether through public-private partnership rather than unvaccine mandates. That should be the focus of the government, because in the last 2 years, have you improved any of our health services other than creating vaccines? And the answer to that is no, they have not, he alleged. And with such a crisis, they should have used this opportunity to improve all our health network, because they all have financial resources available to them under the funds and grants they gain to fight COVID-19. Our fight should be focused on fixing our health services. Our fight should be focused on providing first-line medication, first-line doctors and nurses available to the sick and needy, he said. According to Spencer, as of February 13, the island's health system was not being suppressed or being overwhelmed by COVID cases. It is being overwhelmed by issues relating to motor vehicle crashes, gun violence or crime, domestic violence. That is what is overwhelming our health services now and creating a lack of resources and supplies to people who really need it, he opined. He argued too that the reason behind COVID-19 infection, the island's health facilities, especially during the 3rd wave, was improper planning or poor planning for successive government, not only this present government, but the governments before that have neglected our health system. If we had a proper health network, COVID couldn't create no problem for us. Yes, there would be a wave, but in reality, all waves crash. And that is what they have neglected, he reasoned. Pointing out that his overall comments should be viewed by some individuals as being anti-vax, Spencer said such a position is unfortunate. It is very unfortunate that you are considered to be an anti-vax by having a clear opinion based on medical facts. I can never be considered to be anti-vax. Every single day in my office and hospital, we administer vaccines, he said. I am not against COVID-19 vaccines at all. I am against universal inoculation of the population when the majority is not at risk for COVID-19, especially now with the Omicron, which is the dominant variant, said Dr. Spencer. If you don't boost, you're gone back to zero, unless you get natural immunity. The vaccines are only buffers to natural immunity, and that's the reality that we fail to recognize, asserted the medical practitioner. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.